Eliza and we are two brown chicks changing the face of therapy on both sides of the couch.
Yes. Welcome. Today we have the lovely Andonnia Maiben.
Lovely.
So lovely.
Especially lovely today.
Don't do
Look at
it.
this outfit.
My fashion icon.
Yes.
Trying to be like her when I grow up. Yes. Definitely.
Look at you. She's checking to see what's
I'm
under
trying
the
to
outfit.
hide. Like, what am I wearing? How do you care? But we're excited to have you on. Why?
Thank you. Receive.
It's hard.
It is hard to receive.
It's hard because I'm used to being on the giving end of it. So hearing it is kind of like, oh, is that too much?
Yeah.
That might be too much.
It's receiving. I say that all the time. You know, in relationships, it's like you came in and you said, you know, I'm really good at inhaling, but not so good at exhaling, or not great at exhaling, but not great at inhaling. It's like, well, this
But you need both to
you got to be balanced, right, to thrive.
And you gotta receive it when it comes. A lot of times it's coming towards you and you don't even see it because you're dodging it.
Yes.
It's not for me.
This
it's
is true.
somebody else.
Yes.
This is true.
Yeah. All right. So.
That's another
Message.
session, right?
Right. Going all over the place. So today we're going to talk about Andonnia's school journey
Yes.
and becoming a counselor.
Because you can pray.
Yes.
You can go to therapy.
Yes.
You can go to grad school.
Yes. You're not going to get a lot of sleep, though.
You may not sleep.
You may not sleep, but all the rest of that you can do.
You can do it. Yes. And you don't have to but compromise your values.
Yeah. I'm really curious because we were just talking about like your creativity and the things that you've done, makeup artist, and you make cards and it's beautiful, like amazing creativity that you have. What was your path to deciding that you wanted to go to school to become a counselor?
Because I did it for free.
Oh.
So, like, growing up, I was always that girl.
Mm-hmm.
My friends ran to me. I'm consoling people. It's part the minister in me, too. But when I started my master's program in sociology, I wanted the clinical track. Because I've always been, like, helping people.
Right.
Like, that brings me joy. If I can do something that'll help somebody else, I'm fulfilled in that. And so, honestly, at one point I was looking at doctorate of sociology programs, which would have taken me out of Texas. But I bought a house.
Okay.
So buying my house made me reevaluate some things. Because, hey, this is a good step.
Right.
I'm adulting.
Right.
Well, then I talked to my mentor, and she introduced me to who is now the chair of our department, who had the same path I did. She has a master's in sociology and a doctorate in counseling. And I said, oh, this is possible? Because exposure lets you know it's possible.
That's right.
And so that's how I got here. I started my program January 2013.
Okay.
Wow, it's been a journey, huh?
Oh, boy.
You're still in it, too.
I am. I am.
I love it.
Because in addition to being a student and being a creative, you also have
A full-time job.
a full-time job, very full.
I'm a teacher.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I teach middle school. See, everybody does it.
Yeah.
You're either yay middle school or ooh middle
Yeah.
school. Yeah. I believe that this path to being a helping professional and being a teacher made me a better human. Because my children, my students, they're mine. Right? You can't talk about my kids. They might tear up your entire building, but they are mine.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so all of the things that students now bring into the classroom, they're adult issues.
Yeah.
But they are middle school bodies with middle school mindsets, with middle school resilience.
Right.
And they're mine. And so even though I'm not their counselor, I'm their counselor.
Right.
And their nurse, and the nutritionist, and the couples therapist, and the clothier, because I've collected clothes for children. I fed them. I'm mama at school. So I'm going to praise you when everything is great, and I'm going to get on you when it's wrong.
Right.
And they brought sexuality issues. They have brought faith issues. They have brought, I don't understand my environment issues.
Right.
And I have to help the child find healing so that I can teach them.
Right.
I can't teach a child in crisis. They don't learn.
Right.
When they're hungry, when they don't know when they're going to sleep, when they don't understand what's happening in their bodies, they do not learn because they're focused on the survival part. And so that plus the formal training and being in billions of classes and starting to sit on the other side of the couch, it made me a better human because you don't throw your own away. Like, they're mine. I'm not going to discard them because I don't understand them. I have to get to a place where I understand them. So,
you know, and I think you're making such an important point of the importance of teachers having more access to information about mental health. You know, we've talked about that before, you know, children acting up in the classroom and automatically being diagnosed with ADHD or what have you, or trauma, right? Like, and so I think you're making such an important point as to how we all have to be aware of what to look for.
Teachers are not adequately prepared for mental health issues.
Right.
Special education departments are not adequately prepared for it. I've worked in both.
Wow.
Schools have their own labels for things. So you might know that the child has an emotional disturbance, but you don't know that the child has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I've had that. Or you don't know that the child has had a traumatic experience 2 years ago and they are still trying to figure out how to deal. Because as adults, we need time. So as children, you just pulled the rug from under me and I don't even know how to breathe yet. And so teachers don't know that. And unless you go digging in files and sometimes you don't have access to information, you don't know how to handle this child, and you stereotype them or you typecast them as bad children. No, they're not bad children. They've had a bad card, a bad hand dealt to them, and they don't know how to deal with it. So you just happen to be in the way of them trying to figure out how to deal with it. And I've always had the child in a mental health crisis since I started my program. I've had students who have been hospitalized, and because I know the environment, and last summer I worked in the environment, I just bring them back on. Hey, baby, how you doing? You good? You all right? But hey, how you doing? You all right? You good? Okay, this is what you're missing. And when you treat them with a level of normalcy, they feel okay because they are so ready for somebody to typecast them or ostracize them or poke fingers at them, because they tell their friends sometimes, and sometimes their friends turn on them, and they're looking for somebody to identify that I'm okay. And we haven't done a good enough job of identifying a mental health hospital visit like a regular health hospital visit. If you have a broken leg, you go get a cast.
Maybe out a couple days.
You know, you come back to school, you might have some crutches. And you go back into your regular life as much as possible. When they come back from the hospital, they have to go back into life as much as possible. And we have to create the normalcy for them. So that's been, again, my children make me a better human because I've had to do it. And I've had kids write me thank you letters at the end of the year, and I keep them because I cry because it gets hard. Because teaching is hard. It's hard. It's hard. Can I have one?
Absolutely.
It's hard, and because your nose runs because you're on camera. That's what it is. I was fine, and the allergies and eye sweat and all of that. But they help me to normalize mental health. And I've had family members that I grew up with mental health issues. So I'm not far from it.
Absolutely. Well, none of us ever are, right? It's just we're not talking about it. Well, we're talking about it now, but I think that's the thing, is so many of that ongoing why we're missing the signs and all that was because we didn't talk about it. And
it was, it's stuff stayed in the house. Like, you don't talk about what's happening in the house outside of a house. Well, I can't get help with a trauma. So I need to talk to somebody else.
Take it somewhere else.
I need help from outside of this frame.
Of this dysfunction.
And, it was so shameful.
Absolutely.
It was easier to say dementia than distortion. It was easier to say, oh, well, that's just how, so and so eat. No, it's not.
Right.
This needs fixing.
Right.
So you fix it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's not shameful to need help. And you don't always have to be you say it all the time. You don't have to be in crisis
Right.
to have therapists.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a therapist is wellness.
Yes.
I want to make sure I'm my best. Y'all talk to me living your best life.
Yes,
Get a therapist.
Right.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Get a therapist.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes you just need to process a little further than your own thoughts.
Absolutely.
And having someone who is trained to hear you, because humans don't listen well.
Right.
We don't. We listen and respond.
Right.
Yeah.
Or we glaze over after you say something we don't want to hear. Therapists are trained to listen.
Right.
Literally, this whole process of listening.
Right.
So if you're sitting there with someone who really hears you, you add value to your own thoughts again.
Absolutely.
And that's dope.
Yeah, that is.
So how are you balancing and managing a full-time job?
Balance. I don't know.
Manage. Let's start there. Manage it. Yeah.
I don't know what balance is. I try to find it. It's a myth.
Yeah, it is.
Balance is a myth, and I think it is a myth that people who are doing nothing created. If you are doing multiple things, like operating in purpose, living with a family, or taking care of a family, a lot of us are caregivers in some capacity.
Right.
Balance happens in science. It doesn't happen in life. Art. Art is my therapy. Outside of my actual therapist, art is my therapy, and I will sit down and start creating something, and that can be cooking, that can be painting, that can be stationery, that could be anything that allows me to create. And oftentimes I don't have a pattern. And I lose time. It's 1 o'clock. I should go to sleep. Like you forget your woes. You forget what's happening, and you have a moment to exhale. And at that time, all you have is what's in front of you. And none of the stressors of the deadlines and I need to do this, I need to do that, I should be sending this email, I should be responding. And I don't like notification bubbles. So you know how you'll clear stuff and go, oh, I'll get right back to it, and then something else happens, and 2 hours later, you still haven't that. I don't have that in art because I'm not looking at my phone. My music is playing.
Right.
I have, 2 days ago, I had that experience. I woke up, let my dog out, took my allergy medicine. I sat down, and 4 hours later, when my phone died, I realized, I've been sitting here 4 hours. But I got 4 pieces done. So that's how I do it, honestly, and a lot of prayer. A lot of prayer. Because I love people. I do. I absolutely love people. But what gets under my skin more than anything, people. It is the same.
Yes.
The thing that pulls on me the most is the thing that I love.
Yes.
And people that you love have the ability to get under your skin quicker than anybody.
More than
that you
anybody
don't.
else. Absolutely.
So painting, prayer, meditation. I don't do well stealing my own thoughts.
Say that again. I don't do well
Stealing.
Stealing. Oh,
Stealing.
okay.
Like
Okay.
centering
Got
my
it.
own thoughts because I know what else needs to be done.
Right.
So I've gone to the Women's Earth.
Yes.
And I've found an app on my phone, and I've had to, read something and sit there and just think about the one thought. Because if not,
Right.
my to-do list comes out and all the stuff. Oh, I remember it. And did I say thank you for that? And then, gratitude list help too. Because in a minute of overwhelm, then I can flip it by thinking about all the things that I do have that's working. Right? So, school sucks at times. Right?
Yes, it does.
Papers, grades. In my master's program, I remember having a really amazing mentor, and then he went to Ohio State. And then you left me here.
Yeah.
We got new professors, and they were new to the profession. They were fresh grads, and they told me I couldn't write. Wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
I've been writing since I could breathe.
I'm sorry.
I just had people tell me I was an amazing writer, and then you get this paper back.
Right.
And I'm like, well, and they don't provide enough to validate their statement.
Right.
So you're left with that.
Right. Yeah.
And then I emailed him, and he was like, well, considering I'm the last one that published, I would think my opinion, and you need that.
Yeah.
You need people.
You need mentors
to say, no, you're valuable.
Mm-hmm.
You're worthy. Your work is worth it, because being a Black grad student in a doctoral program in an HBCU, people discredit you. What is the best way to say this on camera? People who don't look like you will discredit you based on what they think your institution can produce.
That's right.
Right.
And then they will discredit you because you're a woman. And without reading any of your work, having a conversation with you will discredit you because you're Black or you're brown or because you're not like them.
Right.
I'm not supposed to be like you. That's what individuality is. But sometimes you feel invisible in the literature, invisible in classes outside of your institution, invisible because most of your friends are not in your program, and so they don't know what you're going through. And you need somebody to talk through this theory because you don't quite understand how Freud is as popular as he is. And he was on drugs. Narcissism, anybody? So, love to all the people who love psychoanalytics and psychodynamics. I'm not a fan. I like attachment theory, though. So you pick and choose the things that make sense to you.
Definitely.
But if you don't have somebody to bounce that off of, then you feel invisible then.
Yes.
And it's like everybody's, you in school, future actor, but nobody's helping me balance the weight.
Right.
It's like, help.
Yeah.
Anybody?
The importance of, having that representation, having that connection, and just because it is such a vulnerable experience to go through. I think especially going into this field where we say all the time, we're not making widgets, we're dealing with people's lives.
Yeah.
And just that vulnerability and that insecurity that you feel. And when we feel that vulnerability, we want to be able to connect with other humans that can kind of model for you, mentor you, or tell you, like, been there, done that, you're going to be okay, and this is what I did to survive it.
Right.
That's huge. Community.
Absolutely.
Community is huge.
Community connections, all that is important, especially during that whole process, because it can be so isolating.
And I'm not done.
No, how much longer do you have to go?
Prayerfully, the end of 2019.
Okay.
My next big hurdle, finish my coursework. Next big hurdle is my comprehensive exam. So I told one of my attorney friends, I said, it's like the bar. It's 18 hours, it's 3 days, it's all writing.
Wow.
You are to quote sources.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, you want me to revert 5 years of education in 18 hours.
Right.
And I'm going to do it. Because I had to change. Perspective is everything, right? I had to change how I viewed that comprehensive, because at first it was like hell. Like, I don't want to go there. I don't want it to happen. But it's an opportunity for me to be able to walk outside the walls of academia and into someone else's space and say, I know who I am. I know what I know. You can't outthink me at me.
Right.
So when I master that, I will then have the bullets for the arsenal that is coming for me. So, okay.
What you just said, though, too, that, I think in quotes, right? But you can't outthink me.
At me.
Yeah. Oh, that is so powerful. I love that. You can't, you can't outthink me at me. Man, that is so powerful. The idea that, and this process that can really shake your confidence, what that confidence does for you.
Yeah. And grad school period is created to make you think. They give you things you may or may not agree with. You have these theories you have to learn.
Right.
But there's a reason why they're theories and not application.
That's right.
But you have to go out here and you have to get into the field, and this might work. I might pull this theory from Gestalt, but I like, solution focused therapy, but I need systems because I want to work with couples. Like, you have to pull at all of these things, and then by the time you finish your work, you realize, oh, here's the new thing that's being created.
Right.
Let me birth something in the field so that you understand where we are in 2019 and 2020 is not the same as 1906. We don't
changing the face of
evolved.
Right.
Correct.
Correct.
We have evolved.
And then theories that are normed on people that look like me.
Absolutely.
So, no more tests based on people who've learned things I'd never heard of.
Right.
So no, this is culturally relevant.
Right.
So this is what this looks like from a culturally relevant standpoint. And you can't ignore me because I'm not going away.
Right.
Yep. Because that's the other thing. Invisibility is still an issue, but we are not going away.
Right.
Every year there are more and more brown therapists or Asian therapists. There are more minorities than the majority. But you don't see us.
Right.
So it's time for us to make some noise academically so that you can no longer ignore that we are here. The scholarship is there. The practice is there. The theories are there. And we are here. We're not going away.
That's right.
We're not going away.
Right.
I love that.
So what are you hoping to focus on once you are licensed and done with this whole process?
Couples and wellness.
Okay.
Love it.
I've always wanted to help heal the family. And as a teacher, I know that heading toward the children is not going to heal the family because they aren't the decision makers.
Exactly.
So I have to go to the decision makers and heal the top. And if I get the roof and the foundation right, everything else will happen. And then wellness, because before it was like a popular fad word, because it is popular right now. It was still a principle. In the medical field in the 70s, Dr. John said, I'm tired of diagnosing. I need to get on the other side of illness. And it's a continuum. So most people think, I'm not sick right now. I'm well. No, you're not.
Right.
Can you breathe when you walk downstairs? Are you able to handle when things arise and you can't change the plans?
Right.
Are you able to think beyond, okay, my choices today affect my tomorrow, but am I considering that?
Right.
Because wellness is the other side of health, right? So it's the proactive side of health.
Right.
It's the not even the maintenance, but if you're going to live your best life, you have to plan that out.
Right.
So want to be able to help people get into a practice of breathing, get into a practice of gratitude, get into a practice of finding safe places to vent, because social media is not it.
That is not the place to go. No, it's not.
And it's accessible. And so now that we have these accessibility points, sometimes we put too much out there and then we become a victim because we put it out there.
Right.
Thinking it was a safe space.
So creating safe places for people to get to optimum wellness.
Right.
So those two things. And then, as opportunities come up, I'm not going to turn down helping people that I can help. So there may be some things that arise as I start practicing.
Right.
Because although I keep running from children, literally, it was like I deal with children Monday through Friday. When I graduate, I'm going to adults. But I did some work last summer at an adolescent outpatient center at a hospital. And it was just like my classroom.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that holistically I'll be able to ever get away from children. But my goal is wellness and couples.
Right.
Okay. That's the goal.
Okay.
Maybe it's the family then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
The family.
as a whole.
Well, and I think you're right. That's as a new therapist, that is what we find. You think you're gonna go into it like, I know for sure this is what I want to do, and then you start doing it. And you figure out, no, it's not what I want to do, or you figure out, you find out what you do want. Like, oh, I never thought I would be interested in this, or I never thought I would enjoy, working with these types of, cases, what have you. So I think it is part of that evolution that you're talking about.
Right.
I'm open to it.
I also like I never thought of wellness. I thought of it as the trendy word that it is now.
Right.
And so it being a practice and something that is legitimate as far as like being proactive as opposed to reactive, because that's what we tend to do with anytime we feel anything. We react to the symptoms as opposed to how do you not have those symptoms.
Yeah.
So I think that's amazing to try to incorporate that as well and make sure that that's a part of your practice.
And a lot of my research has been surrounded by Myers and Sweeney's work, because they were the first to kind of pioneer it in counseling, and to know that there are wellness theories that are already out there and modalities that can kind of be woven into perspectives for people when they come in, knowing, you know, what is this? Because a lot of it is probably going to be curiosity for the beginning.
Exactly.
What is a wellness therapist?
Exactly.
You know, what
I'm
does that
already
look
curious.
like?
I'm like, okay.
I'm trying to see when I'm going to become one.
That's what I know. Like,
I'm going to start researching it.
Yeah, I love this.
Sounds like the path I'm on right now.
What is interesting about it is most of us have thought about it or been exposed to it without knowing that there's some science behind it. Because is all of your parts good? Because we will go to the gym but not fix the kitchen. We will, you know, get the protective style without protecting the hair. We will buy new clothes instead of, you know, purging. So what are we doing? What have we put in practice to make sure we are holistically well? Is our spirit well? Is our body well? Is our mental and emotional state well? Have you dealt with it? You know, that thing you keep pushing to the back.
The thing you can't see. It's not tangible.
Right.
And
it comes up
the
every so often.
character things, right? Because the self-work is the hardest work.
Oh, for sure.
Because that's the stuff nobody can see. We can put makeup on the skin, and we can buy bigger clothes, and we can layer. You can't fix what you can't touch.
Right.
So a surgeon can't get to your integrity.
Right.
You know, what caused you to think stealing pens is okay? Because then you're not stealing pens, you're stealing tax dollars. Then you're stealing, you know, these little things that end up being really big things because you didn't go back to the fact that you didn't have something when you were younger.
Right.
So you will go through any means to get it now when all it is dealt with.
You could just fix this over here.
Right. The things that you can't filter, right? Like you can't put a pretty filter on your mental health, right? You can't filter your soul, right? Like it's so, yes, it is that hard work. And I always say, you know, we're kind of like, if everybody else would do the right thing, we'd be good.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Mirror.
if everybody around me got their life together, we'd all be good.
No.
I'm not the problem, right?
And the funny thing is, we're very quick to magnify other people's shortcomings without using the mirror to see our own.
Well, other people's shortcomings are a result of their, you know, inadequacies, their, you know, all the characteristics. With us, it's like we have a valid reason.
Right.
Because we can justify it.
Right.
We have valid reasons.
Girl,
I'm
I'm
sure
not messed up. My parents didn't teach
It's everybody else. It's
Yes.
No, they just didn't teach me this.
Right.
I'm good. I survived.
But when you do the exact same thing, that's all you.
Right.
Girl, how could you do that?
You don't know my story.
You don't know my life. You don't know my life.
You don't know what I went through this
I like
morning,
that.
right?
Do you know?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Do you know? You don't know my life. I had all these things happen when I was a kid. I deserve to be selfish.
To do this. Yep. To be this
I
way.
deserve to ignore you.
This is what's
You
worked
can't
in the past.
sit with me.
Right.
I have had to learn how to sit here. You can't sit here.
That's right. That's
Girl, sit down. And when I think about some of the things that I went through in my childhood, it seems like my childhood, it did not suck. I was smiling and happy, and I mean, life happens to all of us.
Absolutely.
And you sit there not knowing that this person has endured trial after trial after trial, and you over here talking about they parking. Sit down.
Right.
You never know. It's just, that perspective, people struggle with that perspective of like, let them be them. Let them deal with their experiences the way they deal with their experiences, and you deal with yours as opposed to like imposing what you think they should be doing.
Because bias doesn't exist.
Right.
What is that? No, we don't have bias.
Yeah, self-work is the hardest work.
Yes.
Because it's the most uncomfortable work.
Right.
To say, maybe I could do some things differently. Maybe I wasn't my best self in that moment. Eat some humble pie.
Right.
Eat
the whole pie.
Eat the whole pie. Maybe not all at once.
That
might give me a little indigestion.
But we don't eat pie all at once. We consistently eat it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get a slice today.
Crust.
I'm gonna continue to eat this pie.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's hard.
It is hard. It is hard. Who gonna first? Who's gonna have the first slice of pie?
Me. Good job. You better volunteer. She's like, I'll take it.
With your wellness.
I'll take it. It's
Because
necessary.
first, before I can help them,
This
Right.
is true. That's so true.
Right.
You got to do your work to be able to be in that position. And we talk about this all the time. Therapists need therapy too, right? Like we have to consistently be on our stuff so we are able to be there for our clients to work through their stuff.
Yeah, so that we don't sit there trying to make their stuff our stuff.
Exactly.
So what advice would you give to a grad student, someone who's either thinking about going to school or is in school and it's just like, oh, this is a lot, I'm done, I'm over it. How would you help encourage them that it's almost, you're getting there, you're on the right track?
So, kind of the same way, not me. People train for marathons, because I've never run one. I've watched people train for them. It doesn't happen the minute you get off the couch.
Right.
So it may be that you're walking your first mile, and you might not jog for about 4 or 5 miles, i.e. a year. I didn't feel like a grad student my first year. I was taking master's level program courses, doctoral level courses at the same time, and I just felt like it was another extension of undergrad. I did. For a while, I didn't feel worthy to tell people I was a doctoral student. And we look for validation in the wrong places, so don't do that. Right. Find your tribe. Find a community of people who either have been in the same program or who've been in the same level of program or in the profession to say, I've been there, it's okay, you're on it's a marathon. It's not a jog, it's not a sprint. It's not going to come easy, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Remember your why. Because something had to get you here.
Right.
I think subsequently this morning when I was working on the card for y'all, I realized my great-grandmother had a mental illness. I have another family member with a mental illness. And somebody had to be in place to help them. And if that somebody quit, then where would my family be now?
Right.
And so there's a child waiting for you. There's a wife waiting for you, a husband waiting for you. There is a family that needs you to finish walking out your purpose. And this is the part that sucks so that you can get through the part of their life that sucks. Or somebody needs an open ear to hear them out. And you are the only person that can do that. They are assigned to you. So if you don't walk out your purpose, who else isn't going to get to their best life? Who else isn't going to get where they're supposed to get because you quit? Because it's only failure if you quit.
Love it.
So just step by step. Because I looked up when I finished I cried. I never imagined those 5 years would pass. But life is going to pass anyway. So you're either 5 years in your purpose or 5 years wishing you would have.
Right.
So when it came down and I didn't have to register for classes for the fall, I cried. I was like, oh, this is really here. Like this is actually happening. And people who I've been in class with, it became real to them that I was where I said I was. Because I think people doubt you because you're sitting next to them. Don't ever let my position doubt my purpose. I'm going to get there. It might take time. It might take sweat and tears. It might take sacrifice. But I'm going to get there. And I'm going to help you get right up. I want you to pass me. I want you to step to where I am and go farther than me because I'm going to tell you my pitfalls so you don't have them.
Exactly.
So
Just
keep going.
Keep going.
100%.
Apply.
Apply. Start applying.
Take your test.
Register for class.
Register. Apply. Go to your interviews.
Yes.
But it's like you said, just that having, even if it's not about who you work with, it's about who's just watching you. Right? And you're being an example for somebody else. And you being that, like, I would have never seen a black female PhD student if it wasn't for you.
Right.
So now I have that inspiration to know that I can do that if that's what I choose.
And I've had amazing mentors. There are pillars that have gone before me in the program, and I thank them because even as like a baby student, they were like, come on, you can do it. You can do it. I see it. It's there. Just push a little harder. And there's one, and I won't call her name because I'm going to make sure she watches this. But every now and then she texts me, hey, you are on my mind. I just want to check on you. You all right? How you doing? Where are you? that matters so
Yes.
much more to me
Right.
than all the rah-rah that's going to happen at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Because she knows what this is like,
Mm-hmm.
and she knows my professors, she's had them.
Mm-hmm.
And so for someone to think about you when they haven't seen you
Right.
and say, hey, you were on my mind, are you okay?
Yeah.
Like, that's when people check on your strong friend.
Right.
Right? Because they got it.
Right.
That's a lie. Strong is a myth.
Right.
Exactly.
Strong happens in a
Exactly.
gym. It
Yeah.
doesn't happen in life. I just refuse to quit.
Yeah.
So y'all call it strength.
Right.
I just
Just
call
keep
it
going.
endurance.
Yeah.
Right.
So having somebody say, hey girl, you all right?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about you. Or when you see them, I'm so proud of you.
Yes.
You know, I'm so proud of what you've been able to do. And while we're there, y'all are amazing. No. Because I've watched it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Going to the program, seeing the podcast, you know, seeing you put in the work, and knowing that all across the country now, there are people who identify with, and there is a directory. When I'm telling somebody, no, you really can go talk to somebody, I have somewhere to send them.
Mm-hmm.
That's not Google, that's not overwhelming. And I just thank you for your work, because in addition to your own practices and your own speaking engagements, you've decided to do something that will surpass you one day. And I think that is phenomenal. And we should give people their flowers while they can still smell them. So
Thank you for
thank you so
that.
much.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for that.
So appreciate it.
All
All right,
what
so
you do, you encourage your strong friends.
right.
That's
Right, and that's important. You have to. I really appreciate that, and that's something that I want to practice, because I have had friends that have made statements like that, and I'm like, it catches you off guard, because
Yeah.
sometimes you just put your head down and you do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
And so when somebody says like, you inspired me, or somebody says like, good job, like I see what you're doing, even if you don't feel like you're there yet, it is. So you gotta make sure you do that for other people as well.
Right.
So, that's awesome. I love this morning. It's a good morning. It's a good morning. All right. So, what is your favorite resource book that either you use as a grad student, just in life, whatever? It doesn't matter.
A blank journal.
I love it.
A blank journal. Oftentimes, I write things so that I can remember them,
Mm-hmm.
but I also write them so I can go back and go, oh, I really did get through that.
That's right.
Or I found this quote and this was amazing. Bible. I love The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. That there will be shelving.
I
of
know.
The
I
5
was
Love
like, I brought my
Languages.
copy in today.
Yeah.
I think I was thinking of you. I was like,
There will
I need to
be
take my copy.
shelves of them, because it gives people tangible evidence to associate with, well, I don't love that way, I love this way.
Right.
And once you have a framework for that, you can operate in that framework.
Right.
I also, I like books.
Yeah.
I like reading. Anything by, let me say it this way, anything by people who inspire you. Because I'm inspired by mythological fiction at some point. Like I like Rick Riordan. I'm a teacher, right? So I've read these books, and he's got series, and he pulls in mythology from different cultures. But what I see in it from my students who are in the middle of their life, right? Middle school is at hormonal age. I'm not quite developed, but I think I am.
Right.
My attitude develops faster than my body and my
A lot
brain.
faster.
But I can talk to them about life changes because they are reading about characters in the book. And a lot of times you do the same thing with adults.
Right.
Because if they see the fiction, they won't feel convicted when they see themselves in the characters. So like Percy Jackson, right? Harry Potter. When the character has to make a life decision, like everything is going to change. Divergent did that too. I taught Divergent in my classroom. At 16, they had to make a decision to go with another community or stay with the community that they were born into. And how many times is that the case? We get to college and have to figure out, do I want to go back home or do I make a new home?
Right.
And we make these decisions feeling like, oh my God, my life is going to end if I make the wrong one. Well, the right one is the one you make.
Exactly.
Right.
And so through characters where people don't feel like I'm talking about you, it's you.
Right.
No, it's a character that was made
Right.
up that came out of somebody's imagination.
Right.
But look at what's happening. I recently read The Children of Blood and Bone.
How is it?
Love.
Really? I wanna
Oh
read
my
that.
gosh.
Yeah.
The book is long, but I read it really fast because you get into the characters and you want to know what happens. There's this proverbial good and evil, but there is elements of both on both sides.
Mm.
Life.
Mm-hmm.
This is life. So Amy did a great
Always.
job with that, because this is life. And so you have to determine for yourself what is valuable.
Right.
What is my purpose? What is my goal? And even when it gets difficult, when I have to determine, is what I'm working for worth my life?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it may not be that you're dying. It may be you are about to commit the rest of your life to helping other people, which makes you vulnerable, which puts you out there, which means the budget may not always balance, which means the bills might get bigger. But if you're doing what you say you're going to do, then this is your life's work.
Right.
And I got all of that out of fiction.
Love that. That's awesome.
So a blank journal, definitely. And whether it's fancy and Target kit just kills me. 'Cause I went Target yesterday and I'm snapping pictures. I actually have some journals coming out later this year.
Ooh.
I've been saying it for 3 years, but I'm actually committing to that. I've said it. Y'all heard it.
Yes.
That's so awesome.
Because I like that I can pull something out of my purse sitting somewhere.
Right.
And what you said that touched me, I can write it down.
Right.
What you said that touched me, I can jot it down. And I'm a Post-it note fanatic. So it's not uncommon to walk around any space that I'm in and see Post-it notes of quotes, of scripture, of something that I need to turn and, you know what, you are right.
Yeah.
You know, I can look at it. It's on my cabinet when I open my, to get my morning water, or if I'm in my restroom, I write on my mirrors.
Yeah.
Because you need to keep something that's going to keep you going close to you.
I think that's one of the things I love about you is I think now it's so easy for us to send a text. It's so easy for us to, send an email. We don't write letters to one another anymore. And, at the last Women's Earth Retreat, she had us,
Sister mail.
Sister mail. Tell them what sister mail was.
So, and I've actually done that same concept at 2 other retreats. So I bought blank cards, and they were colored, but they were completely blank. And everybody wrote their name on a bag, and we left it in a public place. And throughout the retreat, if you had something you wanted to say to a sister, you could jot it down and drop it in her bag. And at the end of the retreat, we all took our bags home. And I got home and I cried. I still have my sister mail.
I have mine too.
You can open up and see that you touched another sister, that another sister wanted to keep in contact with you, that you said something or they were going through something similar.
Right.
And for the presenters, humbling moment, hey butterfly, sorry. They wrote to us about how we affected them. Yo, we had one session.
Right.
We had one session.
Right.
Here is this snapshot in a whole plethora of amazingness. And something I said in an hour touched you enough to make you stop what you were doing and write it down and leave it for me.
Right.
And I literally went home and I read I think I read it on the ferry. I read every one of them and I've reread them. And it was so important that some sisters, when we ran out of cards, they wrote on envelopes.
They were looking for
It was like, I need cards. I need something. And so putting that opportunity out there, I've done it with young girls. I've done it with the ministry. We don't often know that we are impacting people.
Right.
Like social media has made it so that we can look without acknowledging.
Right.
But there are people who are watching what you are doing. They're watching you. They may never say it,
right.
but there's something freeing about you seeing it later.
Yeah.
Like some people don't want you to stand in front of them and open it.
Yeah.
So taking it home, you still get their truth.
Right.
And it's still their honesty,
Awesome.
but it's not in front of them. And so I will bring that. I kind of want to bring that everywhere I go. I've done it because it's like, here's an opportunity for you to connect with someone who may not know they matter when they talk to you.
Right.
Because even as a workshop presenter, I don't always know if people
Right.
are
Is
this helping?
Yeah.
Am I just doing this?
Right,
Like, is it
right.
effective? And you can't always get that in real time.
Right.
And so having the ability to just pick up a card or pick up a Post-it note and say, you know what, I really appreciated what you said today. I'm going to take this quote home with me.
Right.
That's huge because that means my work isn't in vain.
Right.
It's connection.
But also for the sisters who weren't presenting, that I sat next to you and we talked while we were eating.
Right.
I really appreciated that you sat next to me because I was sitting by myself and just having that validation. You matter.
Yeah.
You're worthy. You're worth it, and someone else knows it.
Right.
So that was huge.
It was
That's
beautiful.
so
It was
awesome.
beautiful.
I
I
love
loved
that.
it. Yeah.
I love that. So I feel like this whole hour conversation was to answer this question, but I'm going to ask you, what makes you dope?
I'm transparent.
Okay.
That's so true.
I'm going to give you the good, the bad, the ugly, the confusing, because I feel like transparency gives people permission to be transparent.
Right. Right.
So if I give you my truth and I forego the need to wonder or worry about if it's good enough for you,
Right.
then you can do the same thing. Marianne Williamson has a really long, beautiful situation that everybody takes one snapshot of, but you not shining doesn't invalidate anybody else. And it doesn't help anybody else. No candle loses light by lighting another candle.
Right.
So if I can, deal with my truth, my whole self. Hey girl, I got a roll right here and a spot right here, and my bank account is not where it's gonna be. Then you don't have to feel like you got to put on every filter.
Right.
Exactly.
To breathe. Like,
Right.
I am a real human being. You can be a real human being.
Right.
That's what makes me dope, if I can say that.
You
Yes.
you better
This
say
is why we
that.
asked the question.
You better
This
say
is why we
that.
It's funny because I don't think I even realized the impact of that question because we just asked it, but I think somebody pointed out like, we don't
Take the
big
time.
ourselves up. We don't say this is why I'm amazing and these are the things that I'm doing and this is what makes me so awesome. Like,
because there's a pull between humility and pride.
Right.
Like, I'm okay if someone else says it and I don't hear it.
Right.
Right.
And even if I hear it, I'm like, ooh, wait,
Yeah.
no, let me move. But in the same token, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for thinking that of me. And I'm working on receiving. I'm gonna
Yeah.
get there. Not tomorrow, but I'm gonna get there. Right?
Love it.
So yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, what makes you said you've done therapy? Therapy has helped you. What makes therapy dope for you?
Therapy's dope because because they know I'm studying to be a student, they kind of, this is how I do this. This is how I do that. So they gave me practical applications
awesome.
to consider. And then they listened to me. I didn't have to feel like I was rambling or over talking because this is what we're here for.
This is true.
Right. This is what we're here for. So therapy is dope because you can unravel and process without judgment. This is someone who was trained to listen. They're also trained with tools. So if you don't have all the tools, they can give you tools to take and use when you unraveling at home.
That's right.
And it's not a bad thing to take all these layers off. All of politics, all of the statutes, all of the morality, and just, this is my human vulnerability. And someone says, oh, that was great. This is good. How do you feel?
Good for you.
I feel great. Awesome. Mission accomplished.
Yes.
So therapy is dope because it's necessary. It's a part of wellness. And you can process at your speed without judgment.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for being there.
Thank you.
How can they find you?
You sure you want to do that? So my business is Ann Lettered, and I am on Instagram, Facebook as Ann Lettered, ANNLETTERED on both. And then I am Andonnia on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. Easier to find me on Instagram and Twitter. So I have teacher blocks on everything.
Right, of course.
And then andletter.com and andonnia.com.
Okay. We'll put all those links in the show notes.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
thank you so much. We appreciate you, of course. What do we have going on?
What do we have going on this week, Ebony?
Well, Friday, for those that are watching the live,
Yes.
we have a happy hour at Momo's Food and Wine here in Houston. So come join us from 6 to 9 there. If you are listening on the podcast, audio, you missed it. But that's fine. And then on the 2nd, we have Danielle Bowman presenting. We're doing a webinar on identifying behaviors, mental health, all the stuff we kind of talked about earlier in children, and really understanding what constitutes a behavior problem, what constitutes mental health issues, how do teachers deal with those things. So we're going to invite teachers to this webinar as well. And of course, if you're a therapist and you work with kids, it'll be a great way to kind of really understand the behavior versus the mental health, and explaining to parents and
getting
things like
y'all
that.
ready for back to school, because it's gonna be here before you know it.
It is coming quickly. It is coming quickly.
So
It's still summer.
It's still summer, but it's coming.
But come, if you are in Houston, come to the event Friday. We have some specials for the therapists that are there. And make sure that you head over to roomforrelations.com. Sorry, this is the second time.
Melanin and mental
health.com.
You can check out Room for Relations while you there.
I was going to say, tonight I'm going to be saying Melanin and Mental Health on the Room for Relations podcast. melaninandmentalhealth.com and melaninandmentalhealth.com/shop to check out the store and all of that.
And the directory.
Because
it's so funny to us, sometimes people don't realize we have a directory. We have a directory of clinicians. If you are a clinician, I'm telling you, there's not a week that goes by where we don't have requests from people. Hey, do you know somebody in this area? Do you know somebody in this area? People are looking for you. Make it easy for them to find you in your area. And if you are looking for a therapist, hop on there, melaninandmentalhealth.com. See who's there. If you don't see somebody, send Ebony and I a direct email, and we will help you out.
We will find somebody for you.
All right.
Bye.